Welcome back to Afternoon Express on SABC3. Our next guest has been listed by Forbes Africa as one of Africa's best young entrepreneurs and one of 20 young power women in Africa. She's made the Oprah magazine O Power list, is referred to by CNN as a Marissa Mayers of Africa, serves as an ambassador for the UN World Summit Awards, and is considered to be a global shaper by the World Economic Forum. She's an innovative thinker, a global entrepreneur, and an exceptional woman. Rapelang Rabana, welcome to the Loft.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh,
what to be here.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to have you. What a prolific career you've had so far.
It's been an extraordinary journey.
And you're only 32.
It's a lot, actually, 32.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's been a good 10 years since I graduated, so
wow.
Yeah, it feels like a long time now.
That's incredible. To what do you attribute this journey to and the success of it to?
I've always felt that I made really strong decisions based on my own depth of self-understanding and degree of understanding of what would make me tick, what I could dedicate my time to, those kind of personal mastery questions. And I think once you've understood those aspects of yourself, you can take bets and you can make big decisions. But without that self-understanding, you won't have the foundation to make bold decisions. Wow. And I think I credit most of my journey to that.
And what do you attribute that understanding of how important it is to know yourself?
I don't think anyone's ever told me, because it's only really now in the last 3 or 4 years that I've come out publicly to acknowledge it. I've always felt it in the back of my head, but throughout high school or university, it's not like you even do courses on that kind of stuff. It's not like you have those conversations on the dinner table.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to take stimulation from things outside of you, but not looking at your own internal stimulus and direction. So I think I credit it to just having the courage to listen to my own curiosities and to trust that my view and how I see the world is valid and legitimate, and it's reason enough to go with it. Yeah. And realizing that everyone has a point of view that they should also pursue, and it's trusting that you as an individual person have your own contribution to make, but you can only make it if you value your perspective, if you value your individual input.
Wow, that's so accurate. And what sparked your interest in the world of technology, computers? I mean, stereotypically, I wouldn't think that a beautiful young woman would want to be a techie, right?
It was really quite an accident, you know, when I think about it, because I got to the end of matric and I didn't want to study yet because I wanted to take a gap year and relax and figure out what I wanted to do. But, you know, coming from a black family, those things are just not done. You've got to go to university. So my older brother was at UCT at the time, and I told him, look, Mom and Dad said I have to study, come up with some ideas. I'm not doing accounting, I'm not doing actuarial science, come up with something else. And he came up with this degree of a business science, computer science degree, and I was like, sounds reasonable. And until really my first day, I didn't understand that there would be code and programming. And when I saw it on the wall, it was quite a scary moment. And I spent a good year trying to shift around and change, because I realized it was going to be quite a tough degree. But, you know, in the end, I made a complete U-turn and decided to stick with computer science, because after looking at all the other disciplines in accounting or marketing or organizational psychology and all those things, I thought that you spent a lot of time reviewing, analyzing, evaluating, auditing all the stuff that other people have thought and done. But with computer science, you could actually come up with your own ideas and create from scratch. And I thought, you know, this is actually a powerful process that isn't available anywhere else in other subjects. Maybe I should stick with it and see what I can do with it.
And one of the groundbreaking things you've done is you've found a way of improving skills development in Africa using mobile phones. How does that actually practically work?
I've always believed that mobile and internet technologies can be used to really solve big problems on an exponential scale, any of the socioeconomic challenges that we have. And I felt that we weren't seeing enough of that progress in terms of learning and skills development. We need to be able to upskill people faster than we've already done. And most of the things that were happening in the EdTech space were really just about digitizing what happened offline and putting it online. So taking the textbook and putting it online, shooting a video of the lecture and put it online. And it wasn't necessarily making it more efficient. So the process and path of learning wasn't necessarily quicker. You weren't building skills faster. You were just making content more accessible. I thought that we really need to look at how the learning efficiencies can be improved. Are you able to master knowledge faster? Are you able to get to competency as an employee in a company faster? So we basically provide a lot of digital tools that support that process on mobile, desktop, phones and things. We'll use a number of different approaches. One of those is a concept around personalized learning using what I call micro bite-sized chunks of information. And personalized learning is about tracking how you're doing and the areas you struggle with so that you reinforce those areas that you're struggling with more than the ones you know. Because we all know, like, when we learn, a lot of the time, you just want to do the stuff that you're already good at, so you don't get dramatically better quickly. But if you've got this app that can manage that process for you, you can get to a point where you can demonstrate competency a lot quicker by managing that learning path for you. So, I mean, that's one example of the things we'll do. I mean, others will be more around providing real-time virtual experts that can whisper in your ear as you do work in a company. So the same way you'd use a GPS to be able to get yourself around any city or Taipei, even if you've never been there before, you can almost behave as if you're an expert as you get around, because the GPS gives you that contextual information about the city. So now we can use those kind of technologies to capture the complexities of a company, so that someone who's maybe a call center agent or a bank teller or a compliance officer would be able to listen to that guide or read what that guide is prompting it, so that it can perform at best practice levels without having years and years of experience.
That's absolutely revolutionary. So how difficult was it getting the project off the ground?
I think the toughest part, which I think is the toughest part of any new business, is to find the product market fit. So you've got all these great ideas, but you've got to find companies or organizations that are ready to pay for it so that you can start to generate a sustainable business. And it can take a really, really long time. So, I mean, I started this company just over 2 years ago, and only really now do I feel like I figured out the value proposition. I figured out what would be compelling for a company X or a company Y. But I wouldn't have learned that unless I was in the process and in the journey, and to trust that long process. And it's a long, multi-year process, and I'll still be learning in a year's time, in 2 years' time.
Wow. I mean, you're a shining example of how entrepreneurship is effective and how well it can work and how it can change our world. But what advice do you have to young entrepreneurs watching right now, even myself?
To young entrepreneurs out there, you know, I would tell them, think a few times if you're really, really ready for this journey, because it's a tough, long road. And unless you're really wanting to invest 5, 7 years of your life towards a cause, you might not be 100% ready to go down this, because the biggest factor is going to be the perseverance and the commitment. And after that, I would say the most important piece of advice thereafter is to really pick something that you genuinely care about, because if you pick something that you've been thinking about for years and years without even knowing it, you already have an implicit intuition about the industry. And those are the things that are true sources of competitive advantage. So, I mean, as an example, I know a lady who grew up in a mining town where there were lots of injuries of miners from all the mining accidents and things. So because she grew up in this whole context, she went about developing a business that provides safety clothing for those miners when they go underground. And it was just because she had enough prior understanding. It was almost implicit for her how to make it work. So it's, you know, it's things that are immediately around you. Your point of view, which is the sum total of your life experiences and skills, is what will give you true advantage. So don't take things out there because, you know, they look cool and everyone else is doing it. It's sticking closer to you and your individuality that will give you something that's going to be valuable in the longer term.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Where to now from here? I mean, you've already done so much. How much more do you want to do?
I'm just trying to hustle and make a business work.
I say Rapelang for president, basically.
No, not quite, not quite. I really just want to prove to myself that I can build a few strong, compelling businesses. Then I would really love to go on to the venture capital
not much,
of
just
funding. Which is going to be a long road still. And I think later on, then I really want to go to the other side and fund and mentor other entrepreneurs. Once I have that body of experience that I feel, you know, has given me enough understanding. So I would definitely love to get to the other side as well in the next 10 years.
Well, I have no doubt that you will. And thank you so much for inspiring us.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
There's no doubt that Rapelang Rabana is indeed committed to excellence in everything she does, much like Five Roses is committed to bringing you a range of high-quality, superior tasting and refreshing teas to make every tea time an occasion to be shared and enjoyed. To win a fabulous Five Roses gift pack containing an assortment of Five Roses teas, including Five Roses Smooth Salon Blend, simply SMS the keyword Five Roses, your name and city to 33728. SMSs are charged at R1.50 and T's and C's apply and are available on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. Join us again this time next week when we'll be chatting to another exceptional South African woman. And until then, remember that nobody makes better tea than you and Five Roses. Express yourself. How you doing, YouTube fam? Thank you so much for watching, sharing and commenting. We love hearing from you, so be sure to keep up to date with all things Afternoon Express by clicking the subscribe button right here.